now you're experiencing going to Kisumu after you've gone through Kibera, you've gone through Kilimani. Now, how was your high school experience?
I think high school was different. First, it's an all-boys school. Second, it's a boarding school. Third, you realize, you assume, as I was saying, like even living in Kibera, there's levels in terms of the experience you get. So you go to Kisumu, you realize you're not as ghetto as you imagined you are. So there are things you see there, you're like, what are these things? First, what hit me was the heat. Nairobi is a cooler place. It was there's so much heat. Secondly, the food there was very different. So I struggled because I joined late. That first 2 weeks, I really struggled to even eat anything. I used all my pocket money to just be buying bread, because bread is familiar. But also, I was very timid because of just my introvertedness. I'm a very to myself type of individual. And I remember that first term was hard for me because there's this prefect, and it's always prefects, who was bullying me. Then I don't know how to respond, because obviously being a firstborn, authority has not been something I know how to respond well to. I've always learned how to live my life the way I think my life should be lived. Now I'm joining a high school, and boarding schools are very authoritative. Yeah, so prefects had so much authority, and that really used to bug me. Like, why are you telling me what to do? And so, like, I used to get into a lot of trouble because of that. I didn't used to do work in dorm or in class. But also, I joined and I realized this was not as the same as primary, where I could just, like, there are subjects I'm good at, there are subjects I'm bad at, they'll balance. So I remember joining, my grades were very good the first term. Second term, they dipped. Third term, they dipped. And then now my relationship with my parents now became difficult, because now I think the rebellion of just being in high school. So they used to send money for transport, I eat it, then I go and find some cheap transport, then I'm reaching home midnight, and it used to frustrate my dad. Secondly, I'm failing. Now there's no at the middle ground, I'm properly failing. So I moved from like a B plus to a B, not to a B plus, to a B minor, to a C plus. So like it's dipping. Then now when I joined Form 2 is where now life changed totally. I remember in Form 2, I tell people that in my, I think first and second term, I might have attended like 6 agriculture classes. And you have a class every single day. Like you'd have like 3 classes a week. So attending 6 meant like I wasn't attending. So interestingly, one of our agriculture teachers got pregnant, and now she went for maternity leave. So I had one teacher, and the class used to be full. So our class used to hold like 30 to 40 people, had 60 people. So she wouldn't notice if you're there or not. So I used to, like, agriculture classes were sleeping classes for me in Form 2. So now there is when now my grades dropped kabisa, because I found math very difficult. So math, obviously, I used to get E's. Like 8% was the math and chemistry. And these other ones, because I didn't used to put effort, I couldn't. So you'd have your biology paper, and you'd look through, and like, I can answer 3 questions, and answer my 3 questions, then I wait for the exam to end. There was a sense of, now that I think about it, I didn't care much about school.
Where do you think that came from? Did you feel like maybe if I relate it to your dad getting sick, was there an essence of you feeling some responsibility to work hard, to take care of the family? There was nothing like that came in?
I really don't think so. I don't think where that came. I think it's just the nature of being a teenager. And I think up to that point, I never had anyone to, like, properly guide me in a way that me myself I'd understand this thing is serious. You know, when your dad tells you need to study, sometimes it doesn't seem serious. It's like, what is this old man telling me at that particular point? So it never dawned on me that this is my life that I'm playing with. It just seemed, yeah.
So do you think it's maybe for somebody who is at that point, and because I know there, even in the school I went to, there are many people who were like that. They open the maths paper, they see which one they can answer one, they leave the rest. So that not caring or not seeing the importance of this whole thing. How do you think, if you were to speak to yourself at that time now, what do you think would have removed you from that position?
Maybe I think to speak it with love. Maybe this one is for the parents. Is sometimes I think one of the challenges parents face is not understanding how to express love. Because I think if you know someone loves you, it's easier for you to buy into whatever they are selling, even if sometimes it's difficult or painful. And I think the way teenagehood presents itself to parents, it's such a new space for them that sometimes it's challenging for them to just sit down and reflect first and pause. Okay, my child is going in this direction, and I've tried my best to say, and it seems like nothing is happening. Are there ways I can communicate it with love and help them? Because I think even then, if someone came and told me this is your life, you're messing up, it wouldn't hit. So I think one of the things, like a challenge to parents, but also like if there's someone who's 16 and is struggling, is sometimes first coming to terms with just asking yourself, where is life going? So for the teenager, where would you want your life to be at? And asking yourself, what would you want to do now so that your life reaches the place it is at? Because sometimes we take for granted as teenagers that this is our life. And even as parents, I think sometimes they don't know how to handle their teenagers because sometimes they don't know that this is their life. And it affects them so much. Because I think there are parents outside here who are very good mentors to people outside who are not their children. But because they approach them in a way that they know, I'm just helping you to gear your life, but you're not part of my life like that. So there's just that balance for parents in finding how to express love differently in this season of teenagehood to their children. But for the children, how for them to come to the realization that this is their life, and now to figure out what are the small steps. Because I guess when you're 16, I don't think there are grand steps you are making, but just small steps that will be of importance later on in life. So I remember, like in Form 2, by the time I was finishing Form 2, I was getting a D+. And I think it frustrated my parents, my dad especially. So it made living at home very difficult. So I remember it was very difficult going back to home because you knew you're going to be told how you're failing in school. So one of the things that changed now when I joined Form 3, the last exam I did, I think I got a D-. And that's when I knew, like, I got a D, and I tried changing, then things didn't go the way it went, so the report card was reading a D-. I was like, it's not really a D, it's a D, but and so at the end of the Form 3, so you do indexing to know how you will do your KCSE exams. So we did like a mock indexing, but they didn't tell us it was mock. They said it was indexing. So one of the things that I think really helped, my mom noticed that, hey, this boy is failing too much. There's something we need to do. So every holiday, I think from Form 3 second term, I used to go for tuition. So it's either I'm going to the library or I'm doing tuition. I was not just chilling at home. But also something interesting happened when I was in Form 3. My dad, is a contractor and he works in construction. Jobs were not coming, so we couldn't pay electricity for a very long time. So for like 6 months, we didn't have electricity. So I remember I used to come home to darkness. And you know, when you are in school, all you want is to come home and watch a movie, or like not to stay in darkness. And I remember, like, I used to sit in that. I used to read a lot of books then. So I used to sit there and I used to just tell myself, I want to be a billionaire so that I never get into this trouble. And I remember I used to think, I was like, be a billionaire, you'll buy a house, then now you'll reduce your money. Then I remember I made an interesting prayer. I said, like, Lord, I don't want to be a billionaire. I just want to have enough so that my children don't lack electricity. But there was something that was happening in terms of just changing my thought process in terms of like what life should look like. So I remember we did that mock indexing, and there were 261 students in Form 4, Form 3 going to Form 4. And I was index 181. And it's such a heavy moment for me, because I remember when I came home, I think for midterm, and I was just telling myself, I'm not dumb. I was not saved then, so obviously I was bragging. I'm like, you can't tell me I've only shindered 80 students in this whole school, and I know like I'm not dumb. Then I remember I was looking at my friends and I'm like, I have a friend who's index 50, and I'm like, there's no way this guy is 50 and I'm 181. And that changed everything about my education. So we went back, they said, oh, that was a mock, now you're going to do a real indexing. So my desire was like to be at least like 49. Like 49 would be the best, because we used to be divided into rooms. I would be in like room number 2. Room number 2 or number 3, not CG number 8. So we did the exam, and I was index 18.
18.
So in the whole Form 4. So I remember I was happy, but I was not, because I didn't want to pass like that. I just wanted to be somewhere, and I think that helped in validating something that, by the way, I'm not a dumb boy, but also secondly, looking back is something that teaches me, like, if you put effort in something, there's always fruits. And that's why I was saying, like, I wish there are seasons in my life where I put a bit more effort. Because when I was index 18, I realized high school is not that difficult as I would think of it to be. Because...
Let me ask, was it not cool to perform, like, very well? So... You didn't want to be like in the first group where it seemed like, was there peer pressure in school out of the academics? Was there a way your friends influenced your experience in high school?
I think it was that Form 2 experience, but that Form 2 experience was both in what you're saying, but also different. So I used to chill with some older Form 4s when I was in Form 2, who are smart but also naughty. So even reflecting from there, I was like, the smart people I've interacted with are not cool, but these guys are smart and they are cool. So I think that part of them being like that really helped in what happened later on in life. But I guess for me personally, I think it was just that issue for, like, I didn't feel a need to, because I didn't want to put effort. I think that was my biggest problem.
And where is that coming from? Or you don't know?
I just feel like, for me, education was not supposed to feel that difficult. So why should I put that much effort?
Were you into other things, like now you mentioned music or sports? Where were you spending most of your energy in?
I think I was just chilling, to be honest. Because I didn't do a lot of music in school. We didn't have music in school. So I didn't do music. I was part of the music club, but I did poetry. I didn't do a lot of sports in school. So most of the time I was just sleeping. Like, if you were to find me in my Form 2, it's either I was sleeping in a dorm, missing class, or just doing naughty things. So it wasn't. It's such an interesting thing. It's not that I was even sneaking out of school or taking drugs, because I didn't take drugs in school. I was just chilling generally, and I just didn't want, maybe lazy, you can call it lazy. It was just a laziness of not wanting to put effort, but also not finding value in what was being offered.
So how did you do in KCSE?
So I do my mocks, my indexing. I was index 18, so I'm in room 1 with people who've been smart all their lives, and that Form 4 period changed my relationship with my parents, because I feel like African parents love when you're. So I was always number 2 in class, because now education now felt very easy for me when I was in Form 4, and I think Form 4 was like my best year. So I got a B in Form 4, and similar to what I was saying about KCPE, is I reached a point where I knew I'm good at this, I'm not good at this, so whatever comes, let it come. So I'm good at every other subject except math and chemistry, and those are the ones I failed. Let me say I didn't do as well as the other ones, and I was at peace with my results. I looked at my nini, I was like, oh, I got an A in agriculture, an A in CRE, an A in history, a B+ in Swahili, a B+ in English, a B in English, then C+ in math and chemistry. I'm like, this is who I am to the fullest.
So did you have a vision of what you wanted to be in this lazy phase of your life?
I used to think I'd want to be a lawyer. So even my choice of subjects was like geared towards being a lawyer. I think I just didn't know how much effort I'd need to put to be a lawyer. But the only thing I knew I wanted was to go to a university in Nairobi. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew in my head I need to go to a university in Nairobi, because by then I was so much influenced, because you see, the music that was being produced by then was very Nairobi centric. So Nairobi culture was being just put in my face so loudly, but also it provided some freedoms that I imagined were sinful freedoms, but it was like, I'll finally be free to be with whatever girl I want, because I'll not be in my parents' house. So uni provided that idea of freedom that I was like, I really, really, really want to go to uni. I don't know what I'm going to do to uni, but I really want to be in uni. So I finish, get my results. So now that's where now God comes in.